topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
To Triversity Talk. I am your hostess with the mostest, Wendy Stewart, and it's Wendy on Wednesday. I know you must be sick of hearing that already. Okay, it's Wendy on Warm Wednesday because it really is warm. I am coming to you live from my New York apartment, and my air conditioner just went. So there you have it. It's going to be warmer than usual. So for those of you who know the Triversity Pride Center, we are located in Milford, Pennsylvania. And I always like to start the show off by telling you what we have coming up in the following week. So we are going to have our game night, of course, next week. And on the 28th is our big fundraiser and very, very fun event, Paddle for Pride. Please go to our website, or you can find out more for those of you who are on Facebook on Triversity, the Pride Center. And of course, we are triversitycenter.org is our website. Okay, enough with the announcements. Oh, wait, I have one more because it's very important. And it's got to do with where our guest is from tonight. I wanted to announce that Catskill Pride, which is a fabulous LGBTQ center in Sullivan County, and I love the people that run it, is giving an awards event on Saturday night. And a number of people I know are getting awards. And from Milford, Pennsylvania, our very own John Hellman, who is also known as the drag artist, Bell Pepper, will be getting an award. So yay, we love giving out awards, right? It's all about celebrating. So speaking of celebrating, I think my guest tonight is just perfect for that. I started following them really on Facebook. I started following them because of the adventures of their rescue dog. And this first of all, this is not like a dog. It's like a person. And I hate using the word it. I don't know how to gender the dog. Okay. It's a he. This dog is a he, and he travels with his owner and his husband to Norway. And how cool is that, right? So the dog has a European life, an American life. The dog has friends everywhere he goes. But more than that, when you see pictures of him, he completely connects to the two wonderful people that rescued him. And you all know I'm an animal person. So our guest tonight is really taken his love for dogs way further. He started out really writing children's books, and he's going to tell you a story that happened to make him write children's books. As we say, one door closes, another door opens. And his children's clothing are fabulous. There are 7 books, beautifully illustrated with really great stories. What I love so much about what he's doing is his stories are just beautiful, gentle, about creating community, being kind, being welcoming, being inclusive. And no better than this new book, which is called The Dogs of Woofstock, is where you can really, really find that. It certainly reads true. The dogs in here, he's got every kind of dog imaginable, including physically challenged dogs. But you know what? All of these dogs accept each other. There's a lot to learn from our author and illustrator tonight. Please welcome Kip Cosson.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Well, great to be here.
Well, I'm so happy to have you. And book number 7, you've been busy.
Yes, I have.
Camera's good. Just leave it, but you look fabulous. The cover of the book coordinates with the green in your shirt. You know, I planned it that way. Just kidding.
Yes, my taxi cab shirt on.
You have your right. That's so funny. So, thank you for first of all for being on the show. I know we've talked any number of times, and your story. Your story is not only of an entrepreneur, but as I said in your intro, making lemonade out of lemons. Life throws us all curves, and sometimes we think, like, what the heck am I going to do? So, your humble beginnings are from Texas. Am I correct?
Exactly. Yeah. I was born, grew up there, and then I moved to New York back in '86. So almost 40 years ago, I moved to New York City.
Wow. You were living in the Village, am I correct?
Still am. We have our apartment there in the West Village, and then we have our place up here in the Catskills in Bethel, New York. And then my husband lives in Norway, and so we go back and forth. So yeah, it's the best of many worlds.
You know what I have to say whenever I read your posts, first of all, as mine are positive, right? This is how we can bring positivity into the world. I had so many friends back in January. I'm leaving Facebook. I'm done. They took their pictures and put black boxes where their pictures were. You don't come from there, and I don't come from there either. Okay. We can always be living our best life. And if we're living our best life, we can spread it around to other people. Your posts just alone on Facebook, besides the books that you write, the story of your rescue dog, Johnny Bosco, is really quite amazing. Can you share with everybody how Johnny Bosco came into your life?
Wow, sure. I've always wanted a dog since we've been up here in Bethel. I always thought it'd be great to have a dog here. And my husband was always, no, we have to be practical with this going back and forth between New York and Oslo. So then the pandemic happened, and I said, okay, I won't be working as much. Let's get a dog. And then he shook his little finger at me and he said, you have to be financially responsible. And I was like, yes, Daddy. And so then a couple months later, he, out of the blue, he just said, let's get a dog. And I was like, oh, wow, I guess I really have to be really serious about this. So then I wanted a small little dog, my search word was miniature pincher. One that
I love them. I love them.
Yeah. And I wanted something within the area, 100-mile radius, but my search word was miniature pincher. So my search took me all the way to Arkansas, and we found this adorable dog. He had these big ears at the time. They were just sticking up, and we just fell in love with him. And so we had him brought from Arkansas on the doggy bus up to Narrows, up to Port Jervis. And I met him at 5 a.m. It was a little scary because I thought it felt like a mail order bride. They put this dog in my arms, and we've never met, but oh my gosh, it was just,
love it first sight. Quick question. Yeah. Tell us about the doggy bus.
Well, in Arkansas, they bring a lot of the dogs up north, up to, Connecticut is the final destination, and they stop here. And so on this bus that Bosco came on, I think they had probably like 70 dogs and I think like 20 cats. And yeah, so they try to get them up north because a lot of those shelters there are kill shelters. So they want to save them. But what happened was, Ben Bell, who I love this man. He actually saw Bosco in the shelter and thought, maybe we need to take him out. So they took him out and they put him in a foster home. And he had these two foster moms who just, oh my gosh, these are people that I think Bosco and I and John, we have to take a road trip to Arkansas to meet these people and thank them. But they picked us to be Bosco's, two dads. And the funny thing with Bosco is he loves women, and he ended up with two daddies, but that's okay. Because our next door neighbor, Dominique, Bosco just adores her. She's like his mom. Well, and then also my friend, Wendy Brown, she's his foster mom because or his godmother.
Right.
Yeah, because she went with me at 5 or actually 4 a.m. to go pick him up, and it was just, it's just been. We can't imagine our lives without him. This little dog even has a travel. He has a Norwegian passport to get into the country, and it's just And
I have to say, and I know a lot of dogs. He's very special. Yeah, we need to get.
There
Oh,
he is.
we're bribing him with treats, but
We are, yeah.
you have so many pictures up of him, like when he's in Oslo he has a girlfriend there. Wasn't she Hungarian?
Yes, Madame Borchka.
Right,
Yeah,
Madame Borchka, but she moved away, right? That was his dog friend.
yeah. Yeah, she went back, and that was his first love, his first girlfriend, and but now he's got a new one. He's got Bowie. She has a blue eye and a brown eye, and I
Gorgeous.
mean,
Oh, like David Bowie.
yes, that's what they named. Yeah, they named her Bowie, and she is. I mean, she is just crazy. And then he's got like Trixie, this little Yorkshire that lives across the street there in Oslo, and she always runs over and greets him. And then it's just. I mean, it's this little dog or this guy. Well, let me tell you his name too. The shelter name was Bosco, and then they said it's a new beginning. You can give him a new name, and we thought, no, we like Bosco,
I love
but
it.
we took my husband's name, or my husband's father's name, which is Johnny, and we just added Johnny Bosco. So it sounds like a New York gangster. I'm Johnny Bosco. Just call me Bosco.
But it sounds like another children's book to me, The Adventures of Johnny Bosco. I mean, now this is a whole, it's a whole entire series. Now, Bosco, he's got a girlfriend here named Mayu, right? Is that Mayu?
No. Mayu is his best
Mayu.
friend. Mayu he's a rescue dog from Peru, and that's another great story. It's one of those situations where you think about something, but you don't put your thoughts into action. But this woman, Sophia, my next door neighbor's daughter, went to Peru and she saw this little dog, and she decided she was going to rescue him, and she nursed him back to health. She brought him back to New York, and he's a walking miracle. And he and Bosco, they just hit it off. These two are like, they're best friends.
They're besties. Wow.
Yeah. They live one house over. So Bosco actually goes back and forth between the two houses, and he stays over there some, then he comes back over here, and Bosco's the kind of dog. He's not a wanderer. He wants to be with you. So he has that freedom. Yeah.
It's very obvious with the pictures you put up on social media when he's with you and John are incredible. The look, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter whether it's in Oslo or here. It's the love in his, and he looks like a person. He's always looked like a person to me.
Yeah.
So can we say that the inspiration behind your new book, The Dogs of Woofstock, was Bosco?
Exactly. I've always wanted to do a dog book, and about 10 years ago, I tried to do one. And when I do a book, I have to really be passionate about it and really into it. And this other book that I was going to do, it was going to be called Dogs of New York, and the Dogs of New York. And it was going to be like this person looks like their dog, and then this dog likes to sit on the sofa when the owner's gone. And it just wasn't, I couldn't, so I put it aside and went on to the next book. And when we got Bosco, it all kind of fell together. I thought, here I am in the capital of Woodstock, Bethel, and what better way than to do a book called Woofstock, Dogs of Woofstocks, with Bosco and Mayu in it. So yeah.
Well, it's first of all, the book is really hilarious. Second of all, yes, the drawings of course would appeal to children, but the double entendres in here are so funny. You could easily give this to any adult. You have a dog named Itchy Havens. I remember Woodstock. Okay, Itchy Havens, canned meat. I mean, come on, this is very, very funny stuff. Joe Cocker Spaniel.
Joe Cocker Spaniel, Bone Baez, the Grateful Dogs. I mean, I thought part of the reason I changed those names was I really didn't want to get in trouble with trademark or copyright. And so so this book is just, I mean, it's just, I really just let my imagination run wild, and it's no drugs were involved, but it's really just been I've had so much fun with it.
It's a very fun book, but I think the thing, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, we're in a very divided time, and you write these books and they're nothing but fun and goodness. And, I'm laying in bed reading and laughing to myself. First of all, they're beautifully illustrated, and they make people happy, and your message is a happy one. But even moreover, you've got in your book, and I love this, you've got three-legged dogs, you've got the dogs in the wheelchair. It's about, right, treating people, dogs, the human race or the animal race with empathy, with compassion, and with kindness and love. And that's the message, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And my husband says my books, they have kind of a subtle political message to them, but I don't think of it like that. Like, for example, the Mies for Mayor is about a mouse that runs around New York City, and he wants to be mayor. And that book also teaches kids the importance of how we live in a community with many different groups and individuals. Right. So my books they do have a message, but a lot of times I don't think like that, but it just comes out, and it's kind of interesting that same thing with this book too.
Yeah, I mean, it totally does come out. So with this book, what made you choose like the theme of Woodstock? Was it the fact that you are in Bethel, and now you yourself weren't at Woodstock, right? Because you came from Texas in the late 80s.
Yeah, I was 9 years old, so I don't even remember it. But I just like some of my neighbors out here at the lake, they were there, and then I was talking to this woman the other day who bought one of the books, and she said she was a teenager here, and that they took the back roads and they went, and she said it was just, as a teenager, it was just incredible to see what was going on and everything. But yeah, so I'm kind of jealous of that. I think it would have been a really cool experience it sounds fun, but maybe, who knows? Yeah. So.
Well, but you know what? Secondhand, you're experiencing by creating this book. And now I have a question for you. The original Woodstock, it was or wasn't in Bethel. There was always that thing that it was 5 miles away, Yasker's farm. Do you have any details on that?
Yeah, a lot of people think Woodstock took place in Woodstock, New York, but originally it was going to, but then they had a dispute, so they moved it. They moved it to Bethel, New York, but they decided to keep the name, and the guy Yasker decided he had a dairy. He had a dairy farm, and he said, "Sure, let's have it on my farm." And that's what they did. Yeah.
Wow. It's such an incredible story. And now I'm sure you've been to the Woodstock Museum. I've actually been on the bus that they have in the wood, what do they call it? The hippie bus, right? That bus.
The hippie bus. Yeah, that's really cool. If you've never seen it, it's definitely worth going and seeing. Yeah, definitely.
So it's incredible to me because you came here from Texas, which is, to me, it's tough to come here from somewhere else. I grew up in the Bronx and came into Manhattan in the late 70s. And to be from a place like Texas, and you had a whole other career when you started, right?
I did. I grew up in Texas, went to the university. I went to Texas Tech, got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Interior Design. So I have a really strong eye with color, and I moved to New York. My dream was to go to New York. And so in 86, I moved to New York. I didn't have a job. I just thought, I saved enough money. I thought if I can't find a job within 6 months, I'll go back to Texas. I found a job the second day I was here. The third day I was here, I found an apartment. Things were just like meant to be, exactly. But then in 1990, I lost my job. I'd been working for, this was architecture firm they were having financial problems. They were laying people off. And
I have to point out in the 90s as opposed to now, but do you remember when architects were being laid off everywhere and they were telling kids, don't go to school for architecture. You're not going to have a job. That's totally changed now. They're making money hand over. It's crazy, but you got caught up in the middle of it.
Yeah, I did, and I was devastated. I thought, oh my gosh, what? And honestly, I was never really happy with interior design, and my heart wasn't really in it. And so when I got laid off, I kind of thought, what else could I do but without having to go through a whole, going to school and everything. And then one day I saw some T-shirts in a store. They were hand painted, and this is in the West Village. And I thought I could do that, and I could do it better. So I started hand painting my shirts. In fact, they were actually out on Fire Island, and it was wild. I mean, I got an order for 60 hand painted shirts, and they wanted them in 3 weeks. And
What am I going to do?
it was crazy. So then, and I was a little nervous because they all said Fire Island. And I thought if they decide they don't want them, then I'm stuck with all these
You're
shirts.
stuck with Fire Island shirts.
Yeah, but I went out there, and it was really cool to see all these people wearing my shirt. These were adult shirts, and then I switched over. Everybody kept saying the kids market would be great, and then a friend of mine said, Kip, you should really turn this into a business. So I thought, okay. So then I decided to use my name, call it Kip Kids of New York, and started doing the kids shirts. And the books really didn't come along until about 20 years ago. And I actually had a contract with HarperCollins to do a children's book. A woman had bought one of my T-shirts, and she gave it to her grandson, and then her daughter was an editor at HarperCollins, and she called me up and said,
what a story.
Yeah, but let me tell you, it was crazy, because she called me up and said, have you ever thought about illustrating children's books? And I said, I have, but it's never happened. She said, well, I think you need to come in. So I went in and showed her my work and said, should I love it? We just have to find something that will work. So a couple months later, she had this story, and she said, do you think you could do it? And I said, yes. And so then I went to Norway for the winter for a month, and I did this book. I did it like in 1 month. I was so excited. I came back to see her, and I showed her, and the look on her face was of horror. She looked at me and was like, oh, I wasn't expecting a penguin. And then she said, I was expecting it to be a little more three-dimensional. And I'm thinking, you know what I do, and what do you mean by that? And I was thinking, then she dropped the bomb, and she said, well, I've never ever in my entire life here ever put the wrong illustrator with the writer. And I was just like, I was floored.
She called you the wrong illustrator for the writer.
Yeah. And so she said, we're just going to put this aside, and you keep the advance and all this. And so then I tried to call her a couple of weeks later, and she wouldn't return my phone call. But let me tell you something. I learned from that. I learned, okay, you can't. And then and I'll be honest, that what I did in 1 month was horrible. It was just,
really? Do you think it was like because you were rushed?
Well, I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to take T-shirt art, putting it on a book, and it just, that wasn't the way it works. So then I looked at it, and I realized, okay, this is what I need to do. And also, too, a friend of mine said she should have been holding your hand and saying, no, you do this, go this way, do that, instead of just turning me loose like that.
Well, you were given no direction, and she did know what you did. She saw your work. So yeah. Really, if she wanted something else, there should have been direction. There should have been meetings, where she led you and told you the right thing. You didn't have any of that. So, but that's still what you're describing is such incredible rejection, and your resilience is very impressive, because there are a lot of people that would be, as we say, kicked to the curb by that experience, but you weren't.
Yeah, and in fact, I came out. This was the first book, Ned Visits New York, about a penguin who goes to New York for the first time.
Ned, right? Ned the penguin.
Yeah, and I created a character, and this book is actually, it's gone into 7th printing. I think I've sold over 18,000. So that first book, it's not like, oh, well, it's your first book. That first book, I nailed it, and I realized what I needed to do, and so I sat down and and did it. And I don't regret what happened, because a lot of people dream of, wow, you make it all the way, you got the contract, everything. Yeah. But I learned from it, and because of that, I've been able to do these books myself. And I think also self-publishing has been good. I can control it. I can do what I want. And these books live on. They're not like most books with a printer or publisher. They might live, say, 6 months to a year, and then they get pushed back and new books come out. But my books, they keep going and, keep living. And so
there's a lot of things going on here. First of all, even though you did self-publish, you have a great hook with this. The books themselves are very appealing. They've got great messages. And who wouldn't want a book like that to give to their child, right? Number one. And I don't have to tell you how competitive the children's book industry is. So I think you made a wise choice by doing this yourself. And again, you had a really good product, so it
Yeah.
sold. If the product is mediocre, you're going to fall into the competing with the competition. But I have a question, because you mentioned it a number of times. You said you realized what you had to do for from the mistake with HarperCollins. What did you change in Ned the Penguin that made it so successful?
Well, instead of just drawing a penguin with a triangle nose and just making it look very simple, I went in and I don't know if you can see, I've created a little character, and this is, and
Could
so
you hold that up again? Yeah, let me see this. Yeah,
let me show you. Here's there. Okay, there. Like here's, I don't know if you can see.
I can.
Yeah, I created a little. Whereas before, I just did a little dots with eyes and a triangle, and that was my
Right.
penguin.
No, this is a whole character. Like, this is something that you would see possibly in animation, even. And
yeah. And then I created a little mouse. I love this because a friend of mine in California, Kay, she has a daughter that she calls her little Mies Mouse. And I thought, if I ever did a book, I'm going to name that mouse Mies Mouse. And there's Mies Mouse right there. I don't know if you can see.
glasses. Hold on, because I have to see this.
Yeah.
Okay, adorable. Yeah. But look at these characters you create. They're just so damn cute,
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to catch a mouse like that in the mouse trap. They're going to think of the illustrator. I remember the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I'm sure you know that one.
Oh, that's a great book. Yeah.
But every time, like, we're out in the country, my housemate will have a mouse issue. I'm like, I won't do it. I caught a baby one. My technique is I make sure they're quiet. I throw a glass over them real quick, slide the plate underneath, then take them outside with some bird seed so they at least have food. But everybody tells me they're coming back into my house anyway.
Well, but do you know a country mouse and a city mouse are so different. They look different. And a country mouse doesn't really know what humans are because, like you said, you can just almost walk right up to them sometimes here. But a city mouse is a lot smarter and they're on the run. Yeah. No,
you're right. The city mice are on the run, but the country mouse is like, he looks like your Mies. Is that Mayor? That's Mayor Mies.
Yeah, and that was in. Oh my gosh, I don't know. That book was that's this book here called Mies for Mayor.
Mies for Mayor, right?
Yeah, and that book actually, I sent it out to mayors all across the country, and I needed reviews. So what better way? So there was a mayor in Cheeseville, California, that I sent that book. Mayor Eb Whipple, and 90 years old, the population of 10 in the town, and I sent it. I emailed him, and his wife sent one back. She sent a message back, and she's like, "Who are you? No one ever emails us. What do you want?" I said, "I just have this book. I want to send it to you and get him to review it." And you know what? I actually got to go out there and meet him. It was the most incredible experience because when I did the next book that I did was called the New York Cow Powwow, and he is actually in that book, and he said, "I sure do wish I could meet you." And I thought, wow, I've got to go to Cheeseville. And
you went to Cheeseville.
I did, and let me tell you, I was going to pay for my trip and everything, and you know what they did? His wife took this book, the New York Cow Powwow. She put it in the library on a little stand, and she called it the magic basket. And all the people from the town, they put money in the magic basket to make Ed Whipple's wish come true, so that I could come there and meet him. And it was. I'm telling you, it was incredible. I got there. He was in the living room in one of those beds. He couldn't really get out. And I walk in, and he says, "It's such an honor to meet you." And I was just like, "Oh my God, it is an honor. It is an honor to meet you." And it was just the most incredible. I get goosebumps thinking about how incredible it was to meet him. And then I went around to the different schools and read the book, and he's actually in that book. I made him the blue bear.
Wow. And it was so special for him, and reading to the local kids, bringing the book with you and everything, an author from New York and all of that. This is the kind of thing I mean. We are so divided in this country, and yet you can go to a place like Cheeseville, population. What did you say? 10?
10, yeah. The photographer is Yeah, it's I couldn't believe it. It was an experience I'll never forget. Yeah.
Wow. I know I was reading about it when I was reading your stuff online, and I thought, what? But you as a person have actually opened yourself up for all these experiences, and I think that there is a big lesson to be learned here. You know, it's taking the ball and running with it when the ball comes to you, and not thinking about all the other things you could be doing, taking what's in front of you, and take your passion and make it happen. I think that was from Flashdance, but I remember that as a phrase in the song. Take your passion and make it happen. And
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I run into you, you're always so happy. And okay, so you've taken this into your real life. You live in an enchanted forest.
Yeah, we have an enchanted mini forest that actually part of that, one of the pages in this book, in this book is they start off in the enchanted mini forest, and we were able to get the land next to us, and we cleaned it up. I put these teepees that light up at night, and then there's a magical fire pit, and it's a very special place, and it's my happy place.
It's your happy place. But when I follow your travels also in Norway, you're in really great places. And I'm not a fan of the cold, but for some reason, the snow where you are just looks more beautiful than the kind of stuff we get in New York City or in Milford, Pennsylvania. I don't know. Everything is enchanted around you, Kip. It's like the dog, he meets his friends, he frolics in the snow. He went on the sled with you. Did he not go on the sled?
Well, he chased me down he's actually gone on. My neighbor likes to take him on a kayak. Mayu and Bosco they stand on one in the front, one in the back. It's one of those boards, and it's just the most magical thing to watch them on the lake. Bosco and Mayu are not water dogs, which is kind of interesting. Here we are on this beautiful lake, and they don't like to swim. But but the thing is, I think with my books and everything, I've been able to keep this childlikeness about me and carry that over into these books, which I don't. It's not something It's just what I have, and my husband is always just amazed at that I'm able to do that.
That's a
With other
beautiful
people,
thing.
yeah.
And you pass that around to everyone that knows you. Even your booths at the fairs that you set up,
Mhm.
they're enticing. The way they look, the way you put your merchandise out. They make people want to buy. They're colorful.
Yeah, I've really I've been doing a lot of the New York street fairs, craft shows, and holiday markets at Bryant Park and Union Square, and I actually did Grand Central, and now I've kind of slowed back with those markets because I got temporary residence in Norway, so I have to be there 6 months, and then to be able to do holiday markets and to be up here at the lake, I actually need a 13-month year to do everything, so I've kind of cut back a little bit.
Well, you just have to tell them to add one more month in the year. That 12 months is just not working for you anymore.
I know. I said, could I just be in Norway 5 months? They were like, no, you have to be here 6 months. So, but it works out well. I'm like you. I don't like the cold, but the cold and the darkness. But I told my husband if I'm going to be there during that time, we have to go somewhere warm. So we go like to the Gran Canaria Islands for 10 days where, sunshine and warmth, and it's just makes a big difference.
Right. And I love that you take your dog everywhere with you too. I mean, Bosco is the most well-traveled dog. He just goes everywhere.
Is
He's
incredible.
so chill.
Yeah, he's so calm. Some people ask, do I give him something? And I always tell them no, that if I did, he'd never wake up. So the first time we traveled, I opened up the crate and he just went right in, laid down, and it was just incredible.
He just really wants to please. Now, do you work with any of our local animal shelters in the tri-state area and the rural areas, like Sullivan County or Port Jervis? I know has a Milford. We have Pike County Humane Society. Do you work with any of those? Do you volunteer at any of those?
In the past, I have done some volunteering at CARE where I would go and walk dogs, but I've gotten kind of lazy. I need to get back into that. And my husband and I both have a passion for rescue dogs, and we really want to somehow get more involved. And I'm really hoping with this book that I can reach out to other people, even go to different, if there's any shelters listening, I would love to come there, do a book signing, reading, fundraiser. So that,
Right? Yeah.
yeah, I really think with this book, I'd really like to make people more aware, because it's just heartbreaking yeah, it's just, yeah, there's so many of these dogs that are just, they're in shelters, they're people just dump them, and
A lot of them come from down south, as you know, Mississippi, Arkansas. I'm in the
yeah,
city, and when I walk my little nugget, there's lots of people here have rescue dogs, and the story is always the same. It's rare that they come from the ASPCA here. They usually
yeah,
have been brought up from some shelter down south. I guess people
yeah.
just dump dogs down there.
Yeah, I mean, when we got Bosco, I mean, I really did want to go local, some like 100-mile radius, I thought. But somehow, like I was telling you, it went beyond that. And there's really a great animal rescue place here called Care that, in fact, Joanne Giroux, she's actually in my book. I've got all these different characters like that. And then Rita Sheehan, who's the town clerk. Bosco and Mayu had to get their music permit. So I turned Rita into a pink poodle. Actually, she's Pinky
Stop
Rita.
it.
But, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so I really, and I'm serious. John and I really want to take a road trip to Arkansas, go down there, meet these great people that picked
Amazing.
us to have Bosco, and the work they do. It's just, I don't know. I really don't know how they do it. It's just, you read these stories, and a lot of them, they're doing it on the side. They're working, and then they're doing this, and it's like another full-time job, and it's just there. A lot of them. There's so many of them are my heroes. I just think they're just incredible. Yeah.
I love everything you're saying. And, I'm glad you're sharing this because these are the good stories. We hear so many of the horrendous stories. And, I've become I'm well aware of everything going on. And
Mhm.
I want to hear this, okay, because this is really amazing stuff that the two women that took Bosco and Care, where are they located? I'd like to give them a shout out. Where are they located?
Care is in Ferndale, and
Okay.
they're in. I think, yeah, they're just right over by Ferndale.
Is that Sullivan County? That's Sullivan County?
Yeah, it's right over just by Liberty between Ferndale and Liberty, right over there. And Joanne Giroux, she runs it, and she is. This woman is just, I mean, she is just incredible. She's one of my heroes, and yeah, and I mean, I don't know if many of you remember Zola. There were 2 years ago, there was a dog that had been in Monticello that had been beaten by somebody, and
I
and then.
remember the whole story.
Yeah, yeah. So Care took Zola, but the thing with Zola didn't like other dogs. So Zola went to a trainer, I think it was in Michigan or Minnesota or something like that, and they was going to make her a one of those kind of dogs that the police use, whatever you call a police dog.
A service dog. It's a service dog.
Yeah, and things didn't work out. Let's just say, yeah, they had to. She had to be put down. But yeah, I was just heartbroken when I heard that. Yeah.
Well, that's terrible, but for every terrible story, there are all these good stories of people like yourself and the people that run Care that come along and realize that a lot of these dogs they need homes, they need love or whatever. Although I have to say your Bosco, I remember from the time you got him, he just was like, he was there. He's like, hey, daddies, I'm here. You waited for me your whole life, and I am here. I'm a family member.
John and I, we always tell Bosco, we've waited 60 years for you to get here, and finally he arrived. So,
and you know what? At least the two of you were smart enough to understand how important. I'm a big animal person. When I meet someone that tells me they don't like animals, or there's someone in my building here in New York, she hates dogs. I feel bad for that person. Something horrible must have happened to them that made them, feel animosity. How could you really? How could
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I've never quite understood that. I always like, for example, we had our neighbor across the hall in Oslo. She doesn't like dogs, and so one day I just asked her. I said, "Why did something happen?" And she said,
Yeah,
"No, it's just, yeah." And a funny story is a lot of times when John comes home from work, he does the buzzard. Bosco hears it, so it's a positive thing. I open the door, he runs down the stairs to greet John. So one day I thought it was John,
oh,
and Bosco ran out the door,
he screamed.
and it was the neighbor, and I hear this like, and Bosco comes running back up. I was like, oh, I guess that wasn't John, but anyway, so but yeah, I've always found. I mean, I always try to understand there must be something that happened or whatever. I don't know their story to know why
Right.
yeah.
Right. We never know somebody's story. Now, I just want to go through all of the books that you've written. It's Ned Visits New York is the first one, right? That's the Penguin story.
Hmm.
And then your second book was Mies for Mayor.
No, actually, Will's in New York.
Okay.
It's in
Oh, Ned
actually.
and Mies wheels. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
introduced Mies in Ned. And so you took Ned from the first book. I love the train of thought. And you paired Ned with Mies in The Wheels of New York, the second book. I love
Yeah,
that.
that book is in 6 languages: English, Spanish,
Yes.
French, German, Italian, and Japanese.
So you're traveling all over the world with these books. Okay. And then, of course, your third book would have been the Mies for Mayor book.
Yep, it's a
Yep.
continuation of this book. This time, Mies Mouse invites Ned Penguin back to New York, and they go to different places. They go to the Purple Bug Society. They go to the High Line, the Intrepid. So it's this one they go to all 5 boroughs. Yeah. So yeah.
But it's also about dreaming big, and you mentioned voting in this book too.
Yeah, the Mies Mouse his campaign slogan is "A vote for Mies is a vote for peace," and he's running under the Mouse Party. No donkeys or elephants for him. So yeah, it's really just a fun book. Yeah.
Well, we're having our mayor elections here in New York City, so like I guess the independents who don't get to vote, Democrat or Republican, they can vote for
Mm.
Mies. Maybe somebody
Yeah.
should come up with a Mies ticket.
Let me tell you a funny story with that Mies. Whenever I came out with this book, I put mouse ears on my car, and I was driving around New York City out here with these big mouse ears. And one day I went to go in Manhattan. I went to go vote, and I parked my car over in the West Village, and I parked it right in front of the entrance where people were going in to vote. So that afternoon, I went to go vote. I had on my Mies for Mayor T-shirt, and as I came out, this woman said, "Is that your car across the street?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Let me tell you something. NYPD almost towed that car away." I said, "What?" Because you're not allowed to be within like 100 feet or 150 feet
Yeah,
with advertising. Yeah. So the police, they got the ballot out. They looked on there to see if there was a Mies Mouse on the ballot, and then they realized there wasn't. So they let the car stay. But I just had to laugh. It was just too
okay,
funny.
that story is just a surreal New York story. That is really
Yeah.
really great. So, Kip, we had a bunch of people come on and give comments. First of all, I knew Jonathan Charles Fox would be on here tonight. Okay, he had it's Max Yasgur, Yasgur, Yasgur's Farm.
Yes.
Yep.
Um,
And
and
Nancy Susan Isaacs is on here. Love your new book.
Oh, I love Susan. We did
This.
holiday markets together for 26
Really?
years next
Great
to each
picture
other.
with so many dogs inside. Nancy, it's 975 dogs, right?
Yes.
Count them. Does Nancy have a dog? Is one of her dogs in there?
No, she's like one of my dearest friends we did Christmas markets. We would take the wall down between us, and we had so
I love
much fun with, I mean, yeah, now that the pandemic happened, I quit doing the holiday markets, and I don't get to see her as much, but yeah, she is just, she does these beautiful handmade beeswax candles, and she and her partner, Susan, and Susan, yeah.
So great that she's on here. So Wendy E. Brown, love Kip. Where is Johnny B?
He was here with me, but
He
John
left.
is, yeah, John is on the dock right now watching this, and I think Bosco went and got in his lap down there. But Wendy, who you just mentioned, that Wendy, she is Bosco's godmother.
That's his
She's the one that
godmother,
went at,
Wendy Brown. Yay!
yes, she went at 4 a.m. with me, and anybody that would go at 4 a.m. with me to get him,
Oh, she was,
that's his god.
wow. Wow,
Yeah, she told
I
me to.
love it. What a beautiful story this is. Jonathan Charles Fox again, KR Car, Catskill Animal Rescue. Right, with the E, and then he put the little E at the end. Jonathan Charles Fox, thank you so much. I mean, he has the wonderful Gidget, who is actually his service dog, who
In
is
my book, also Gidget, and also his other dog. My mind
Dharma
went
was here
completely.
before.
Dharma.
We
Yeah,
made a
Dharma
film
is
that
on.
we ended up not doing anything with because Alan transitioned to the other side. He passed away. I have this
Yeah, I'm
unfinished
so
film.
sorry.
Thank you. But I have an unfinished film that I do want to finish. It's called Working Dogs, a Love Story. Jonathan Charles Fox, of course, is extremely prominent in it. He's wonderful on camera. And then, of course, he has Dharma in it as well. So, yeah, I feel so close to.
Yeah, here's his dogs are actually. I don't know if you can see them. They're I can't remember which. I
Up.
think it's this side. Dharma and then Gidget are both somewhere. And
Up, and you froze. Whatever that means,
yeah,
it's freezing. Okay, I have it right here. All right, I have it here.
there you go. Yeah.
Okay, and John William Glad
Below
said
is Gidget. So yeah,
your husband's on there, and he said
that's
so
my
proud of
husband.
my husband. It's such a beautiful story all the way around. I have to tell you, so we're down to the wire here. What can we expect coming from you, Kip, in the future? You must be working on something.
Well, right now my husband says the same thing. He's like, "Oh, I know you got another book in you," and I always thought I was would be a one book wonder with the first, and then there was a second, and I don't know, maybe another dog book because I had so much fun with this one, and I was able to step outside of the New York City box because all my books were New York City, and so yeah, I'm maybe another dog book. Oh my gosh. Your baby.
You're on camera. I would love to personally, this is my personal request, and you can run it past John. Johnny Bosco's story has been incredible. The dogs he's become friends with, the life that he leads. You could start it out in Arkansas, and even make up a background. Oh, what will become of me? And all the goodness that comes after that, and the doggy bus, and Wendy, the godmother here. You've got all the characters, Kip. This is the book I want.
Yeah, and also too, someone was telling me this book. Nugget is in here.
Yes.
So I'll send you. Yeah, but I think this book would actually, I don't know how that would work, but make a great animation or a cartoon with all these characters. But that's really like way out there. But
no, it's just a matter of finding somebody. So this is what I've learned about all of this. It's a matter of finding someone that does that. We all know a lot of people. You've got the storyline. You have the characters. It's your artwork. You just need the animation. And although it sounds far off, it's not if you can meet somebody that does that. And I would tend to think upstate where you are, there's a ton of people, the fugitive New Yorkers from the city that are burnt out that, want to be out in the country. They're there. I'm positive. This is I just love having you here. Thank you. I always take a picture at the end. So, and I'm glad Nugget came on camera.
Oh, Nugget. Hey, Nugget.
Look, it's in the book. So I love taking a picture at the end. Just say cheese. We do a couple.
Cheese.
Oh, say meese.
Meese. Yeah, meese.
I can't thank you enough, Kip, for
thank you, Wendy.
To be here, and for what you do for animals, for what you do for children. And you're doing it all over the world. If these books are published in all different languages, these are great stories. And these kinds of things bring the world together. And
Can I
to
ask
me,
you a quick question?
yes.
Tell me about, is Nugget a rescue, or how long have you had
Well,
Nugget?
so
She's
I
just
do a lot of animal
adorable.
rescue, and I live
Yeah.
with 2 rabbits and a cockatoo, and nothing's in a cage. That's my crazy situation. It is
Yeah.
great gardens here, but I'm a whole other ball of wax. But
Yeah.
I had actually lost Mr. Fudge, who came from an
I
aqua.
heard about that.
He passed away at 14. He ate a rocket. With terrible story. And
Oh,
2 weeks later, I was on the internet, and I saw this face as a puppy. You can only imagine. He looked like a mouse.
oh
But
my gosh. How
and
cute.
he was in Scranton. So the woman had a farm, and she had a bunch of puppies. And
Okay.
I knew he was meant for me. But check
Yeah.
this out. I go up there, and I gave her a really cheap deposit, the dog, for the dog. And then I came and picked him up 2 weeks later because she was supposed to hold him for me. I was going to Africa, and she said, "Oh, I'll
Yeah.
keep him." She decided no, she wasn't going to do that. So there I am with leaving for Africa and no place for my puppy. God bless my best friend who lived in the Bronx, who loved animals. He passed away this year as well, and
Yeah.
said, "I'd like to take Nugget while you're gone." And he did. So there I am in Africa, and we passed a bunch of adult hyenas with the baby hyenas in it. Kip, I swear to you, they looked, it was so weird. They looked
Yeah.
exactly like Nugget. And you can Google when we get off
Wow.
the phone, baby
Wow.
hyenas, exactly like him. So yeah, things are weird, but
The universe, it was meant to be. It's
oh my
just,
God,
it's
our universe
incredible.
meant to be. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, and
Oh, thank you.
I hope to see you up in the woods.
Yep. That would be great. And thank you so much. Wow, the time just flew by here. It's so much fun.
It's always
I really
nice
enjoyed
by,
this.
and tell us where people can find the book again.
Oh yeah, you can get my book on my website, kipkids.com. And then if you're in the Bethel area, at Bethel Market Cafe, they have the book there. And then at the BCA, in Congyanga Lake, and I'm hoping to get it into Bethel Woods gift shop. That's working on that right now.
Okay,
So
they should take this in a heartbeat. They need to have
I hope
this book.
so.
It's brilliant. Yeah. Thank you so much. You have a good night, and thank you to everyone who tuned in. Bye.
Bye.